Oh boy, it's that time of year again. Well, Nerd Out, the show we nerd out. My name is JustinTime. Welcome back to a collection tour. Today we're looking at none other than the Blu-ray collection tour. If you saw the goals for 2021, which was on the 1st, I talked about how I'm going to be doing this. It's taking up almost 5 shelves now, and it's only going to get bigger because I'm planning on upgrading DVDs. We're not going to talk about the DVDs just yet, or at all in this video. I'll do a DVD collection if you guys want. It'll just be the ones that are already out. Like anyways, before we get into it, comment what you think the total is. I will say stuff like this will count as just one, but if you want to try and keep or count everything as individuals, let me know in the comments below what you guys get. I'm gonna also tally up everything both as one, and maybe I'll just actually count it as like that would be 8. So anyways, let's get into it. So every other collection tour that I've done for the Blu-rays always start with the MCU, but I changed up a bit because of this one. Now we're starting with TV shows because I bought this recently. This is the collector's edition, I guess, of Stranger Things Season 1 in this cool little VHS looking box. You even got like the slip cover, and when you open it, if I can open it, you got all the discs and poster and that, which is shocking because I found this at a pre-play, which it's not called pre-play anymore, but it was in Madison, so it was like a second-hand store on the secondary market, essentially. The next TV shows, because I don't actually have that many TV shows, they're mainly DVDs, but the next one that I have is Avatar: The Last Airbender, the complete series. I love this show as a kid, and I also have its successor, Legend of Korra. I watched one season and started the second season, and it's hard to enjoy it, but I'm thinking of doing a video on Legend of Korra, so I gotta finish it. And then the final is just Season 1 of The Flash. I don't know if I'm going to pick up the other seasons. I'm definitely going to pick up Season 2 and Season 3, because I really enjoyed those seasons. Even Season 3 I really liked it. Season 4 is when I kind of dropped off, especially when they did the framed episode where, spoilers, The Flash gets framed for murder. Well, Barry Allen gets framed for murder and he has to go to jail, and the next episode is him in jail. I don't really like those storylines, and then I kind of just fell off and just kind of keeping up with clips on YouTube. But definitely gonna pick up the next one. There's the seasons 2 and 3. Next up, we have the entirety of my MCU collection. I don't have every MCU movie, but I'm planning on trying to collect them all. Let me just try and stand them back up, because I want to try and put these back on the shelves. So first off, we have what started it all, Iron Man. I found this at Goodwill for $4. It's probably one of my favorites. And you got the Incredible Hulk, Iron Man 2. I actually am one of the rare people that actually enjoys this movie. I can't have him on my lap. But I really actually like this movie, and it's been confirmed that this is when Peter Parker was first introduced. I think my favorite thing is him inventing the new element. Next we got Thor. This is just a recent pickup that I got. We got one of the first 4Ks that's coming up, Captain America: The First Avenger. I don't think I've watched this fully. I understand what happened in the movie, but it's pretty good in my opinion from what I've seen of it. Then we got Marvel's The Avengers on Blu-ray. I might upgrade this to 4K if I ever find the 4K, but you know, this is the one that this and my Jurassic Park movie was on loop, along with Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. Next we have Iron Man 3. At the time I really enjoyed this. I haven't seen it since it came out. I probably should watch it this year because it is a Christmas film. But, you know, it's regarded as the second weakest in the Iron Man trilogy, because everyone doesn't like Iron Man 2. I love Iron Man 2. My next 4K, The Winter Soldier. One of the best superhero movies since Spider-Man 2 with Tobey Maguire. There's nothing else I can say. Then we have Avengers: Age of Ultron. I have fun with this movie. It's the weakest of the Avengers films, but I have fun with it. Next we have probably my favorite MCU character, Doctor Strange. It's got one of my favorites. I make a joke, but I actually really loved it. This is probably the only MCU movie I've seen in the theater, and my favorite character is the Cloak of Levitation. I really love it. Just all the visuals in that in Doctor Strange. It's good. It's just, everyone says it's just the usual origin story for Marvel, but I think they did a great job with this. Another 4K, Civil War. If you notice, I picked up all the Captain America movies on 4K because I feel like out of all the trilogies in the MCU, I'd want the Captain America trilogy because it's just been solid since the first one. Alright. I forgot to mention this, but we're keeping score somewhere of how many movies I haven't seen. And I'm also including Stranger Things in that because I've never watched Stranger Things yet. I picked it up because it always looked cool. But on to the second one. I have yet to watch any of the Spider-Man MCU movies. I know, and I was about to go into No Way Home without watching these. Mainly because I know what happens in these movies, because everyone talks about the MCU and that, so I didn't really need to rewatch, or actually watch Homecoming and Far From Home, but I have them for when I do sit down and watch them. Next up, we have Avengers Infinity War. I really enjoyed it when it came out. I've watched it since it came out, but it was enjoyable to watch. Another movie I get to see, Captain Marvel, but I think everyone understands why it's taking so long. I will say though, from what I've seen of Captain Marvel, really like the costume. That's usually one thing that always sells me on somewhat bad movies, or just or even terrible movies, is costume design, prop design. Really like them. And I just like the look of Brie Larson's outfit in this, and in Endgame and that. Speaking of Endgame, we have one of the first steelbooks in the collection. It is the Avengers Endgame Best Buy exclusive steelbook. On the front you have the Avengers that survived, the back you have the ones that perished in the snap. And inside you can't see, but you have Robert Downey Jr. and Black Widow. And when I bought this, I was wondering why it was only those two, and then I saw. Next up, Far From Home. Haven't seen it. Know what happens in it. Can't wait to watch it. It seems good, but it ends with the spoiler. For a movie from 2019, it ends with Peter getting framed for murder, and like I've said in the Flash one, not really a big fan of that storyline. But with No Way Home, it looks like it actually works. But anyways, next up, we have Black Widow. One of the weird red cases, which I thought kind of fit Black Widow, but still kind of weird. One thing though that you may notice is it's in the plastic. It wasn't until I think the end of the beginning of 2020 when I started to keep them in the plastic, because that way that shows me on my shelf which ones I have yet to see. So you'll notice a lot of these will be in plastic. The final movie that I can't say that I've seen it, but I started it, but I was dog sitting. Shang-Chi Legend of the Ten Rings. Can't wait to watch this. I've heard so much about it, and it's another 4K line. So I'm just going to classify it as haven't seen, because I've only seen like 5 to 10 minutes so far. Next up, we have my Star Wars collection in the Blu-rays. I'm a big fan of Star Wars, if you couldn't tell. I collect Star Wars anything, essentially. But, so let's start off. Mine are in chronological order. We have the prequels on Blu-ray. We got Rogue One, A Star Wars Story. Probably my favorite of the Disneys so far. We have the original trilogy, obviously classic trilogy. My other favorite Disney Star Wars movie, which I love, Force Awakens. Is it a retelling of A New Hope? Yes, but this one gets a pass for playing it safe because it's a new... They were reviving Star Wars after like 10 years. We have The Last Jedi. Bad movie. Love the costume designs for like Rey at the end of the movie and that. Bad movie. Rise of Skywalker. Terrible movie. Terrible way to end a trilogy. Hate the costume design, which is even sad because I just think Rey looks exactly like she did in Force Awakens, and she ends on a desert planet the way she started, so it feels like she just went on in a loop, right back to where she started. Next up, we have all the Family Guy Star Wars movies. I loved these as a kid, and I made sure that when I found, I think, Blue Harvest and It's a Trap, and I scoured the Pawn America for this, for something Dark Side. And I found them all on the same day, picked them up, made sure that I had them. Need to rewatch them. I've watched them before. And then finally, the only Star Wars movie I have on a steelbook is Revenge of the Sith. My favorite one, the one that I actually ranked in my Star Wars Skywalker Saga ranking as the #1 as my favorite. I just love this movie. It's my favorite. I love the Battle of the Heroes theme. I love the the Duel of Mustafar. Order 66 is just a tragically beautiful scene. Next up, we have my Jurassic Park collection. I'm gonna also say I have a blue steelbook here. Just quickly grabbing the steelbook. There's another steelbook, but we'll get to that when we get to the J's and that. But we have Jurassic Park, probably my favorite film of all time. The Lost World Jurassic Park, one that actually grew on me. As a kid, didn't really enjoy it, but I'd still watch it. As an adult, I love Ian Malcolm as an adult. Jeff Goldblum's amazing. It's probably my favorite. Or I love it. Jurassic Park 3, as a child, I actually enjoyed this. As an adult, I can see its flaws in that and how it feels like it's a weird... It should be like a TV show. Like it's a straight-to-TV movie. But I watched it so much as a kid. It's nostalgia. And that's where it gets me most. It's actually quite up there for me. Then we have Jurassic World. I actually really love this film. I really like seeing the park being open, and that a lot of people are saying it's I hear it, as Sean Chandler puts it, it's a Taco Bell film, and that I actually think it's a great movie. Now, it's been a while, and you may get confused at my enjoyment of the film. I think it's okay. It's been a while since I watched it, so I should rewatch it sometime. This is actually my first ever 4K, which is Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. I really enjoyed this film when I watched it, but I only watched it once when I got this 4K, and the reason I'm saying you'd be confused is because I have 4 copies of the movie. I have 2 steelbooks, a DVD, and a 4K Blu-ray, mainly because I have a DVD collection. I had all of them on DVD. I have all of them on Blu-ray, and the steelbook looked cool from Best Buy, and I found the Walmart one, which is this one. It looks even cooler, so I had to get it. Next up, my Harry Potter 8 film collection on Blu-ray. Picked this up. Thought it was great. I've loved Harry Potter as a kid. As an adult, I've kind of grown out of Harry Potter, but I still find enjoyment when I watch it here and there. I actually wait for this to be on sale on Amazon so that as little money can go to J.K. Rowling? Yes, I did. But final 3 before we take a little drink break. I got the original Clash of the Titans. We're not even done with the first shelf. I'm already having a hard time speaking. This is Clash of the Titans. This came out. This is the original one that came out 98 or 81. My bad. I have yet to sit down and fully watch it. I skipped through to watch clips from that I find was my favorite. This Medusa sequence is very suspenseful. It brought up a primal fear of tension and suspense that the 2010 one doesn't have, but I like the 2010 one a little more because the 2010 Clash of the Titans went for more action and kind of creepier style. Like the Kraken is scarier to me in the 2010 one than the 81 one, and the Medusa one is more action filled. It gets my heart pumping seeing Perseus lure Medusa to the Jinn leader to try and decapitate her, and then I think I always loved Perseus as a kid. in 2010, as I got older, Mads Mikkelsen's, why can't I remember his name? But he's probably my favorite character now, with Perseus being my second. I really love his line where he says, or Perseus is like, when are you gonna smile? And then he looks at Perseus, he goes, when I spit into the eyes of the gods, then I'll smile. And then it comes back because he's about to get turned to stone by Medusa, and he looks over at Perseus because he's already dying. He took an arrow to the chest, or to the chest, and that he's bleeding internally. He's not gonna make it even if they killed Medusa. Then he just looks at Perseus, bleeding from the mouth, and he goes, "Let them know men did this." And as he turns to stone, he smiles because he spit in the eye of the gods because a man did that, and by man I mean humans. Just mortals, because that's the whole conflict is, can Perseus do it as a man, even though he's half god and he struggles with that. Alright, final one before the drink break. Wrath of the Titans. Actually enjoyed it. Kind of sad. I made a nerd out about this. It's supposed to get a trilogy. Really wanted to see where this one leads, because at the end of this one, spoilers, even though it's from 2012, all the gods die, except Hades. Hades is the only god left. I wanted to see, like, what will the demigods do in that. No, it like kind of explains why. It kind of feels like this is the reason why the Greek gods aren't around now, because they all died except Hades, because you still gotta meet someone when you die. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. The journey was cool on that. But drink break. Let me grab my drink. Trying not to choke on it like last year. Roll the clip. Very hydrating. Here on the JustinTime channel, we advocate hydration. Don't get it down your trachea though. To finish off that shelf, and also to kind of start this one because it's a trilogy, I have all three Lord of the Rings films on Blu-ray Steelbook. We got Fellowship of the Ring, Two Towers, and Return of the King. Probably my favorite one is, not gonna lie, I think Fellowship of the Ring. I really like Fellowship of the Ring. Return of the King is close second. I always found Two Towers boring, but, you know, that's not an official ranking. I might actually do a full-on ranking of all the Lord of the Rings movies, plus including The Hobbit, but I don't have any of the Hobbit films. And with the Lord of the Rings, we have officially ended the first shelf and started the second. If you couldn't tell, I do this as TV shows, franchises, and then when we get to here is when we start the alphabetical order. But continuing on, I have both of the original Ghostbusters movies on Steelbook. Hopefully, I can get Afterlife on Steelbook and put it here. You may notice 2016 is never going to show up because I have the DVD in my shitty movie collection. Let me know in the comments below if you want to see my shitty movie collection. That's where I buy movies off the market, mainly DVD, so that I'm not spending too much on it, just to make sure that it's one less copy on the market for someone to stumble upon. Next up we have the Jumanji movies. We have the original with Robin Williams, rest in peace Robin, and we have the surprising one to me, Welcome to the Jungle. I was thoroughly surprised with this. Really like Karen Gillan's character. I really enjoyed her from Doctor Who. Had a little crush on her. Doctor Who, like her as Nebula. I'm trying to remember her name. I like her as Nebula in the MCU. Really liked her in this. Very enjoyable, surprisingly. Next up we have my DC films. I'm splitting up into two groups. We have this one, which is just about the stuff. You have Justice League Dark, which I have yet to watch. Thought it was interesting. Then we have Injustice on 4K. Also thought it was interesting, but I hear that it is not as good as like the games and that in the actual comic. And then finally we have Batman 89, which I have yet to see yet. I know it's a sin, but I'm getting to it. Now we have my DCEU. We have all the Snyder stuff in that. I might upgrade some of this to 4K. I do have two 4Ks. Also to point out, well actually I'll point out when we get talking about it. But anyways, Man of Steel, haven't seen it. I've seen parts of it on like FX and that, but I haven't fully seen it. It's kind of the same situation as Shang-Chi. Next we have Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, the Ultimate Edition. I hear the director's cut is thoroughly better than the theatrical cut. But then again, I've never been a big fan of the DCEU. We have Wonder Woman, which is regarded as one of the best of the DCEU. Here we go. Aquaman. I bought this before the controversy with Johnny Depp and what's her name. That's how much I care about her. Amber Heard. I'm on Team Depp, if you're wondering, because it came out. She lied. We have actual evidence of her being an asshole, and I'm not gonna go see Aquaman 2. I'm not gonna buy Aquaman 2. Anyway, not even gonna upgrade this one to Blu-ray or to 4K. Keep this as Blu-ray. Haven't even watched it yet. With all the stuff that came out of Amber Heard, especially the producer that said they're keeping Amber Heard on for the sake of the movie, because they think the movie's gonna do well with Amber Heard. No, I've been vocal on Facebook to my friends that I go, don't watch Aquaman 2, whatever you do, don't. Fuck them. Next up we have Wonder Woman 1984. First off, that font is boring. Secondly, I heard it's iffy. I haven't watched it yet, obviously. I just picked this up yesterday. I'm filming this on New Year's Day, if you're wondering, which was New Year's Eve when I picked it up. And the final one in my DCEU is Zack Snyder's Justice League. I have a good reason that I've yet to watch this. It's 4 hours long. And that's a commitment I can't make right now. I feel like it'd be weird if I just watched it in parts. I might actually just do that because it's broken up into parts. So I might just watch part 1 and other stuff in that, because I want to review more movies than that. But next we have my Dragon Ball trilogy. We got Dragon Ball Z Battle of Gods. This is essentially what we didn't know was going to be the revival of Dragon Ball with Dragon Ball Super. That's the first arc of Super. You don't have to watch the first arc. That's literally just an hour-and-a-half version of the arc. Same with this one. This is Arc 2, Dragon Ball Z Resurrection F. This is the introduction of Super Saiyan Blue. The second arc, you don't have to watch the anime. You're welcome. After that, I think it's the Goku Black arc. Then you can watch it. Otherwise, you don't need to watch the first 2 arcs. One that doesn't have an arc because it came out after Super ended, Dragon Ball Super Broly. I liked this movie. I enjoyed it. The fight scenes were actually pretty good. It's not like the TV show where to save time they reuse frames during the fight. It's fun. I might do a ranking of that trilogy as well. Next we have all that I have of Terminator, which I've never seen any of the Terminators. We have The Terminator. We have T2, which I have not seen, which is a sin, I know. It's regarded as one of the best sequels ever made. And we have probably the worst I've heard, Dark Fate. I heard it's because it retcons 2, which that is a bad thing to do. That a lot of people, I heard people say like, oh, now we're not gonna get another Terminator film. I don't think people wanted another Terminator film since T3. It's a weird argument to make for Terminator right now. But next we have my Hunger Games collection. I've only seen the first one because it has what I call the Narnia effect. When I watched Narnia, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe, felt like it took 4 hours for an hour and a half. That's what it felt like with this. It took so long to get to the Hunger Games movie for me, or to the Hunger Games itself for me. And then when it got to the Hunger Games, it was not as action-packed as I expected. Which, saying weirdly, because all these kids are forced to fight to the death, so I don't know what middle school me was expecting. But then we have Catching Fire, Mockingjay Part 1, and Mockingjay Part 2. I actually like this cover, but the reason I picked these up is I think I'm planning on doing a ranking because it looks like they released, or when these ones came out again, the new book came out. So I thought about ranking these because the new book came out. Alright, next up we have my Jason Bourne collection. We have Bourne Identity. It's been a long time since I've seen all the Bourne movies, but we have Bourne Supremacy, Bourne Ultimatum, which has, you know, the guy that plays Arthur Spiderwick in the Spiderwick Chronicles. You have Jeremy Renner's Bourne Legacy, which is the weakest one in my opinion. Finally, I have this little digibook of Jason Bourne, the newest Jason Bourne movie, which it opens up. You got a little booklet, you got the DVD, Blu-ray. It's this huge thing. It's my only digibook. And that. But I will find it weird that they just used the same artwork. Next up we have the only two Men in Black movies that I actually like. We have Men in Black 1 and Men in Black 2. I think my favorite one is Men in Black 1. As a kid, I was really scared of Men in Black 1 because, you know, it's Ed the bug. And then Men in Black 2 was my favorite. And I really liked Serlina, I think is her name. And I think that imprinted in my mind as a kid. Next we have my childhood. The Tobey Maguire Spider-Man movies. I loved these as a kid, even 3 as a kid. 3 was amazing in my eyes as a child. We have Spider-Man 1, my favorite of the movies. We have Spider-Man 2, regarded as the best superhero movie ever made. And we have Spider-Man 3, the weakest link of them. That was all my franchises. Starting with numbers is the only one. 21 Bridges, starring the late, great Chadwick Boseman. When I saw the trailers, I thought it was interesting. I really wanted to pick it up. And I did see it when I was picking up a bunch of movies a couple of days ago at pre-play. But then I found this new, so I thought I'd trust this more because it's brand new. And that. Now we have the start of the A's. Almost. First one we have is A Charlie Brown Christmas. I didn't get to watch this year. I didn't get around to it. On Christmas Day I watched How the Grinch Stole Christmas, the live action. Yeah, this one kind of got put on back burner, but now I have it. I really enjoyed it as a kid. Plan on watching it next year. We have A Quiet Place, which I watched with my mom. We really enjoyed it. This is probably my favorite movie that came out the year it did. I think Fallen Kingdom is tied with it. Or this might actually beat out Fallen Kingdom if I rewatch Fallen Kingdom soon. Which I need to because Dominion comes out this year. Next up we have Quiet Place Part 2. I've yet to watch it. I had nothing spoiled for me. Keep it that way. Plan on watching it with my mom because we wanted to go to the theater to experience it. And then we didn't get to it and I bought the 4K. So I'm going to someday watch it with her, hopefully this year, in the near future. Next we have Abominable, which I haven't watched because I'm planning on doing a DreamWorks ranking. So I want to get all the DreamWorks movies and watch them in that. I'm planning on it. Might watch them in chronological order, meaning release order, and that. So I won't get to this one for a while. But yeah, it looks nice and interesting. Next up, you may wonder why these aren't in the franchise section. We have Alien and Aliens. I'm waiting to put this in until I buy a third one. Even though I have Men in Black in here with 2. Same with Ghostbusters 1 and 2 and that. But, you know, it's my collection. Anyways, I haven't watched either of these. The only Alien movies I've watched is Alien 3 and Alien Covenant. Not great ways to start Alien. The Alien franchise, I should say. Next up, we have the Amazing Spider-Man movies. I forgot how much I enjoyed Amazing Spider-Man. I've been watching clips from it because of the hype with No Way Home. I'm not going to spoil anything. Essentially, rewatching it just for nostalgia. These clips. I forgot just how much I like the soundtrack. How much I actually like Andrew Garfield as Peter Parker. And it's not because of the hype of No Way Home and people rediscovering the Amazing Spider-Man and that. But Amazing Spider-Man was such a good movie. Character moments. Mark Webb is amazing with character moments. The moments between Peter and Gwen, perfect. Anytime characters are interacting with each other, it's not like a fight scene or anything, great. However, Amazing Spider-Man 2, I'm afraid to watch. But I got to, because I might rank all the Spider-Man movies when I finally get No Way Home on Blu-ray. 4K. Next up, we got Annabelle. Haven't watched it. Or it's the weakest one. Apparently this one's the best one. Annabelle Creation. This is directed by David F. Sandberg, who did Lights Out and went on to do Shazam. And that's the end of row 2. Drink break. It's snowing again. Or at least it's starting. We're in a winter weather advisory here in Wisconsin. I don't know if you can see. Right here, when I get here, we're at the halfway point, essentially, of 5 shelves. If you're still here, comment X-Wing in the comments, so I know how far you guys are getting. I'm gonna finish up the A's. First up on shelf 3, we have Angels and Demons. I watched this. I forgot this was one of the movies that really, as a kid, I was like, wait a minute, that's fucking Obi-Wan Kenobi. I literally did that. I was like, that's Obi-Wan. He's a priest? What? It's been so long since I watched it, but I've seen it before. Really recommend it. Tom Hanks is great in it. I think Felicity Jones is in this. I may be thinking of the other one. Or the other Tom Hanks movie in that vein. Then we have Disney's The Aristocats. With the, I'm pretty sure this does have the racist cat, but you know, I grew up with Aristocats as a kid, and that I watched it a couple times here and there, but not enough for it to imprint. I actually completely forgot about that scene. But now we're on to a movie that we have. It's a 2-pack. One movie I really love. One movie I found weird, but I found cool, or I found one aspect a little cool. I don't know why that scene, that clip, or this aspect really hit deep in me, but we have Atlantis, The Lost Empire, and Milo's Return. Atlantis, The Lost Empire, anytime I say it, or I always forget that this is tied with dinosaurs for me, or dinosaur with me. I love Atlantis. Atlantis is so good. It's so underrated. It's one of the, it's right out at the end of the Disney Renaissance, and it didn't have a musical number. Never did. Has a great score. All the characters are wonderful. Milo's Return, not that good. What was the aspect? Seeing Kira in modern clothes. She looked badass to me. She's badass in Lost Empire, but she looked badass in the modern clothes. And that it was real. I don't know why. Don't ask how my brain works. It just, I liked the design. I forgot some. I found some Blu-rays that I had packed away. I don't know why, but I forgot to put those on my shelf. With these editions, I actually now kicked off Angel, so now we have officially 5 shelves of Blu-rays. Am I running out of space? Yeah. Now I did that. Back to the bees. Alright, first one in the bees is Becky. I thought it was interesting because, from what I could tell, it's John Wick meets Hannah. What it is Kevin James playing a neo-Nazi who's after a key that's on Becky's necklace. So he takes her parents hostage and he thinks he's the hunter, but then Becky, being hunted, becomes the hunter. So, and it's really interesting. It's Home Alone. I should say it's John Wick meets Home Alone. Speaking of John Wick and Keanu Reeves, we have Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. Classics. Little fun fact, if you look at like the artwork for Keanu Reeves for Excellent Adventure, the movie got shelved for a few years, so when they had to do the promotional images for it, he had to put on a wig because he cut his hair. So when you look at the artwork for Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, Keanu is wearing a wig because his hair is too short, which I find as an interesting fact. Then we have the newest one, Bill and Ted Face the Music. I actually enjoyed this. I didn't know what I was going to think of this movie, but it was actually pretty fun. Then we have Blade Runner 2049, which I have not seen. I haven't even seen Blade Runner, but I don't have it, so it doesn't count. People are saying this one's actually pretty good, and if you're not a fan of Blade Runner, you'd probably be a fan of Blade Runner 2049. I have Bohemian Rhapsody, one that I haven't seen. But I do have a funny story with this. So I went to Walmart, and it was in one of those security cases, right? And when I checked out, I saw the lady like checking out, and then I walk out. I hear this weird ringtone as I walk out, and I just keep going. No one stopped. No one's like stopping or that because it turned out it was the alarm. I get to my car. I get all the way home, which is about a 30-minute drive. Go home, go to take out the bags, put it on my shelf. It's still in the security case. That ding was the alarm telling the employees, hey, security case is leaving the building. So I drove all the way back because I don't know what to do with the security case. I thought about breaking it, but then I thought it could have a GPS tracker that if it broke, it would alert authorities that. I don't know, my mind was racing. I didn't know what to do with the security case. I took it back, walked in, saw the greeter. The greeter looked at me. I walked in, it dinged the alarm again, which the greeter didn't find suspicious that the alarm dinged when a person walked in. I walked up to the front desk with my receipt. I went, hey, I brought this to show that I purchased it, but the security case is still on it. I got all the way home, and they're like, how the hell did you get all the way home? No one stopped you? No one ever usually gets out of the store. I went, I don't know, but in my head I went, maybe you should change your alarm to not sound like a phone alarm or a ringtone, because it's just doo 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 doo. So I thought someone got like a text or something. But yeah, so I went through all that to have you watch it, and we are like 2 years since it came out. And finally, Bumblebee. I hear this is actually the best Transformers movie in the Transformers franchise. That's kind of sad. C's. Starting off the C's, we have Catch Me If You Can. I watched this in school, in personal finance. I really enjoyed it in personal finance. It was great. Next up, we have Chaos Walking, which I haven't seen, but it has Daisy Ridley and Tom Holland. I enjoyed Daisy Ridley in Star Wars. Her acting was great, but the direction in Star Wars wasn't, but I still enjoy her as an actress. Tom Holland, Spider-Man and all that, all of his stuff is great. Picked it up, can't wait to check it out. Also has, I think, yeah, I also had Mads Mikkelsen. And surprisingly, Nick Jonas. Then we have Color Out of Space, a Lovecraftian tale. It's interesting. It's certified fresh on Rotten Tomatoes, and it has Nicolas Cage, which is the start of my Nicolas Cage collection. And then we have a concept, or a horror movie that concept-wise I was interested in. It's based off a short film, kind of like Lights Out was based off of a short film. This one was based off of a short film called Larry. It's called Come Play. It's about a monster that comes out with a tablet. His tagline says, he's good at taking friends. So you can see what the scary part of it is. Next we have Conjuring 3, The Devil Made Me Do It on 4K. This one, the story behind it is interesting because it's based off a true story of demonic possession, where they actually argued it in court that the guy killed someone because of demonic possession. Spoilers for the actual story. I don't know how the movie ends because I haven't watched it, but the dude ends up just going to a mental institute for most of his life. But with Coraline, Plastic Me, I haven't watched it. I've seen some stuff on it, or some clips in that, but otherwise I've never actually watched the whole movie. So again, Shang-Chi, Man of Steel type scenario. The final C, The Croods. I watched this a long time ago. It's it's an alright DreamWorks movie. It also has Nicolas Cage. Here we have the D's. Starting off, we have Daybreakers, one of my favorite one of my favorite vampire flicks. It stars Ethan Hawke, Willem Dafoe, Sam Neill. This was my first introduction to a Sam Neill movie that wasn't in the Jurassic Park movies. And also, Willem Dafoe is great, plays an ex-vampire, a vampire that's become a human again. And the whole point is, vampires took over, and it's the year's 2019. It came out in like, when is it, 2010? No, 2001. Here's 2019. Vampires have taken over the planet because of a disease, and they're running out of blood. So they gotta find a way to either make synthetic blood that works, or try and find a cure for vampirism. But as you can tell, we've already basically turned society into a vampire haven, so it'd be easier to to them, it's easier just to farm the remainder of the humans, and also try and come up with a synthetic solution. Next up, you got The Dead Don't Die. This is the one got me interested because it has Adam Driver and Bill Murray. Detective Pikachu. I saw some of it with my friend Liam, who's my roommate, but I didn't see the whole thing, so I'm going to count it as one that I haven't seen, similar to the Shang-Chi and that. Die Hard. Would you believe me if I told you I've never seen Die Hard? But I will argue that it's a Christmas movie. It's more of a Christmas movie than Lord of the Rings. Come at me. My favorite Disney movie. Dinosaur. Is it just a movie about getting from one location to another? Yes. But I like it. I find it underrated. I might make a whole video on Disney's Dinosaur. Dr. Sleep. The sequel to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining. That's all I know of it. Dodgeball. If you can dodge a wrench, you can dodge a ball. The 5 Ds of dodgeball. Dodge, duck, dip, dive, and dodge. Really love this movie. It's a classic. Dracula Untold. I watched half of it with my roommate again, Liam. But I wouldn't say that I watched it because I only watched half of it. I kind of started watching when everyone realizes that he is a vampire, and then he's like, "Do you know what I sacrificed to protect you all?" And that. Broly Triple Threat. I've seen Broly the Legendary Super Saiyan, Broly Second Coming, but I have yet to watch Bob Broly. I'm not counting it as not watched because everyone doesn't like Bob Broly. But that was my introduction to Broly. But what sucks is I watched the Broly Legendary Super Saiyan recently, and they changed the music, and I hated it. I liked the rock music that they played when Broly finally goes Super Saiyan and starts kicking everyone's ass. Next, we got a movie from my childhood. I have yet to watch it again because I'm waiting for my friend Sophie to either get her ass to Wisconsin or I gotta get my ass to California, because we both watched this during a sleepover once. It's called Dragon Wars D War. It's about dragons about to go to war. I can't tell you anything else about it because I don't know. Then the final one is comedy from, when did it come out? 2008, which was the last time I ever watched it. Drillbit Taylor. I remember enjoying this to the point where I was like excited for high school, and this was 2008, so I still was in elementary school. On to the E's. We have 8th grade. I started watching this, but then had to turn it off because this is not a movie to watch before bed. The anxiety and just the awkward feelings that you get is not a good thing to try and go to sleep after watching. So, yeah. But I do want to revisit. I do want to visit and finish it. We have passed the halfway point, by the way. I think it's here. There's a way of E.T. I used to be afraid of E.T. as a kid. Not anymore. It's been so long since I watched it, I should probably rewatch it again. But as a kid, I had a nightmare where E.T. just wouldn't give me any personal space. So I guess I was an introvert even as a child. And finally, we have Ex Machina, which is one of those artsy movies, indie movies, I'd say. Artsy fartsy, indie bullshit type movies. It's a great movie, but if you're like me, you can get bored real fast. They have that Narnia effect, like I brought up with Hunger Games, and that it really feels like it's longer than it is. It's an A24 film. On to the F's. We have the Fantastic Beasts movies. Not sure if I'm actually going to watch Secrets of Dumbledore or whatever it's called. I watched the trailer for it. I will say though, Mads Mikkelsen looks like a great fit. With them replacing Johnny Depp, but I'll have to end up watching these before I make a video on Fantastic Beasts, The Secrets of Dumbledore, whatever, whatever it's called. But to make my full opinion on Johnny Depp's Grindelwald, I will check out Fantastic Beasts and then compare the two, see which one I like the most. Because unfortunately, I'm still going to compare him, or Mads Mikkelsen, to Johnny Depp. And then the final F, Fire Breather. Basically, the entire series that was going to be made, that didn't. It's a movie about Duncan, who is half human, half kaiju. If you have never seen it, I'd recommend you check it out. It came out in 2010? 2011. It's Cartoon Network's very first ever 3D animated movie. It's made in the same engine as Star Wars: The Clone Wars, the original first 2 seasons of Clone Wars and the movie. Alright. Jeez. As in, jeez, there's so many movies. Gemini Man, part of a series I want to do called Split Reactions, because it had split reactions when it came out. I forget which ratio it was, but it was either audiences loved, critics hated, or critics loved, audiences hated. You got Get Out by Jordan Peele, haven't seen it. The Girl in the Dragon Tattoo, haven't seen it, but it's out of plastic because this was before I started my plastic rule. Got The Girl in the Spider's Web, which I also haven't seen, but again, before the plastic rule. You got Godzilla. I watched most of this Godzilla. This is the 4K. I watched most of this on FX, but I classify as I watched the film and that. I've yet to watch the very beginning and that, but I've watched most of it. Not more than 8th grade and Man of Steel and Shang-Chi. Then we have Godzilla, King of the Monsters, which I definitely haven't seen. Now, my brother went to the theater and watched it, but I have yet to see this. All I need now is Godzilla vs. Kong. I watched half of The Greatest Showman and I turned it off. Not because I didn't like it, because I'm not too much into musicals, so I was getting bored just because it's a musical. Songs, pretty good. Story, it's alright. I think it's a little overhyped. Final one of Adam Sandler's best movies from the 2010s. That's a comedy. Grown Ups. I really love Grown Ups. Grown Ups 2, but Grown Ups, I really enjoyed. Now we're on to some of the H's that are on the shelf. We have Halloween 2018. I need to watch it still, but before the plastic roll. We have Disney's Hercules, one of my favorite Disney Renaissance films. Came out, I think, the same year I was born. I think it was 98 or 99. But I really love this one. It was kind of a means to an end to get to Treasure Planet, but this is Home on the Range. This was one of the last 2D animated films that they did before till The Princess and the Frog. As a child, I liked it. I watched it a bunch, but I'll have to rewatch it. I don't actually remember who voices anyone. Hook. I watched this after my parents split up before they got an official divorce at my uncle's, and I really enjoyed it. It was fun. Robin Williams, rest in peace. This is also a split reaction movie. Apparently, audiences didn't like it, and critics didn't really like it, but it's a really good adaptation of Peter Pan. We got Horns, which is like the second film Danny Radcliffe did after Harry Potter. He will bring out the devil in you. I was always interested in this film. It looked really cool. As after his girlfriend's murdered, he starts sprouting devil horns and he can pull out people's desires and that. It just has an interesting concept. And then the final one of the shelf is Hotel Artemis. The reason I picked it up, Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum's in this. I really want to watch it because of that. It's about a hotel that's kind of a hospital for criminals. It feels like it should be in the John Wick universe, because that's kind of how it feels, but it's not, and I really enjoy it. Right, I've yet to see it, but it just has that feeling. But drink break. If you made it this far, type Persona 5 Royal in the comments. Let's see how far people get. Let's finish up the H's. On shelf number 4, we have the classic How the Grinch Stole Christmas 2D animated film. I didn't watch this one this year. It's a classic. I should have watched it, but the one that I chose to watch was the Jim Carrey one. I enjoyed this as a kid. Then when I got older, I kind of was a little shitting on it, kind of forgetting the love I have, even though weirdly enough I was still watching it even when I was shitting on it. And then Unus Annus came around. I think Unus Annus made me realize that I loved it so much. It's so quotable. It's funny, and it's the movie before The Cat in the Hat, where the Dr. Seuss, or the people that handle all Dr. Seuss stuff looked at it and went, and then Cat in the Hat came out and they went, you're done. You're done with live actions. But this is a great one. I picked it up on 4K. Then we have the How to Train Your Dragon trilogy. I have How to Train Your Dragon, How to Train Your Dragon 2, which I actually really like How to Train Your Dragon 2. And then finally, How to Train Your Dragon 3 in the plastic, because I have yet to watch it. I do know how it ends, because spoilers and that, but I still won't watch it. I'll watch it for my DreamWorks ranking. Eyes. Damn it. Sorry, all my Blu-rays fell out of my hand when I did that. Alright, starting off, we have I Am Legend. A little sad because I did read a little bit of the book and found out they're supposed to be vampires, not zombies. But I didn't really watch most of the film. I've only watched like maybe the beginning and then like a little bit of the middle, but never seen the end. I know of the dog though. This one, I didn't realize that Henry Cavill was in this till I read it, and also Mickey Rourke. But he got Superman and Whiplash in this movie called Immortals. It's about Greek mythology in that Superman gets a bow that you pull back and it adds a light arrow and it will hit its target no matter how far away it is. And it's pretty good. It's been a long time since I've seen it, but it's still a good movie. Inception. The first time I ever watched Inception was in the it's on the Florida trip for our high school band. Iconic cast in that. This was one of my introductions to Cillian Murphy besides Batman Begins. The start of my love for Cillian Murphy. You have The Incredibles. I like Incredibles. I wasn't too fond of, or I wasn't too like, holy cow, it's one of Pixar's best films and that. And I was fine without a sequel, and then the sequel came out, and then I was like, kind of ruined the ending of Incredibles. The sequel to me was okay, and Incredibles was good. It's not one that I always go back to. I was going back to like Toy Story and that, but we have Independence Day. One of my best thumbnails, in my opinion, is for my Independence Day review. I really love Independence Day. I forgot how much I love Independence Day. It was so long since I watched it. Should rewatch it this year, because last year I had to watch Resurgence. Not that good. It's fine. Action. Got people fighting aliens. There you go. If you like that, it's a great movie. If If you want it for story, I'm sorry, the story's a little weird. Check out my review for it. It's somewhere on my channel. Iron Giant. I've only seen this a couple times, and I always hear just how great Iron Giant is. I didn't know the Iron Giant was supposed to be Russian. I thought he was alien the whole time, so I was always confused. But then again, most alien movies, the government's always trying to take out the aliens or take the aliens hostage to experiment on them and that. So there's my confusion explained. It probably didn't help that I also watched the Scooby-Doo alien movie that came out roughly around the same time with it. And finally, It Comes at Night. This is a split reaction movie, and that because people went into this movie expecting to see what comes at night, and it's a psychological thriller, not an actual monster, I've heard. J's. Alright, starting off our J's, we have Jaws. The first time I ever watched this film was in college, but I didn't get the same reaction as everyone did because I think it was just my environment and what was going on in my life. When I watched Jaws in college, it was the middle of winter. It was like January. It was like maybe end of January. No, it had to be later because I was working at the gas station. I was talking about it on the podcast. Link to the podcast channel in the description below. But we watched it in the middle of winter anyways, so snow was everywhere. And I was so exhausted because I worked night shift, and then I couldn't go to bed I couldn't fall asleep until about 1 o'clock when I get home at 11 because my body was still like awake till 1. And then when I'd have to get up early because I had school at 8 o'clock. And then after school, I had about 2 hours before work. So, exhausted me, who was essentially falling asleep during his classes in the middle of winter, did not scare me out of the water. Even to the point where there were people reported that they didn't even take showers or baths for a week when they watched it. So I think I need to rewatch it in the summer. I think I might do it people do a 31 of 31. And I think I might do a 31 of 31 of summer blockbusters. Like big blockbusters from the 80s and 70s and 80s. Next up, we got the Jay and Silent Bob reboot. I've seen the first 2 Jay and Silent Bobs, I'm pretty sure. I've yet to watch this one, which is weird, because I like Jay and Silent Bob. And it also has Melissa, what's her name? Supergirl. It has Supergirl in it. And I actually like the actress. I like her. Next up, we have the John Wick franchise. What a fucking franchise. So good. I have a steelbook for John Wick 1. Which I did a review on recently. Then we have John Wick Chapter 2. Great continuation of the series. Continues on the world building in that. Instead of trying to what are we going to kill this time to get him back in the world. It builds more onto what they established in the first film, and that you really want to see the continental rules in that. And it establishes that it's a whole world. It's a whole world of criminals and assassins. And then John Wick Chapter 3, Parabellum, even doubles down more. And that I find it's 3 great movies in a row. It's rare to see that. Unless you're saying the MCU, but I find the MCU cheats a little bit because it's never the same. You never have a sequel to something come right after another. I think the closest is Iron Man 2, and it has the Hulk in between. Next up we have Joker, which I still need to watch. I've heard so much about it, but it's one of those movies where I get scared to watch it then because people are like, oh, it's so good, it's so amazing, this is so good, you gotta watch it. Same with Squid Game and all that. It's like, what if I don't like it? You're hyping me up for this movie that is supposed to be really great, the greatest movie of the year, and it could just not live up to that hype to me. Still trying to do that. We have another movie for the split reaction movies. We have The Judge, starring Robert Downey Jr. This was while he was doing the MCU. This came out in 2014. Interesting for a movie, and I can't wait to watch it. And we have Jumper, one of my favorite Hayden Christensen movies that is not him in Star Wars. It's about a guy with teleportation, and then there's a cult that says only God should have that power and tries to kill him. And then he finds out there's more Jumpers, and then there's also been Jumpers that have been killed by these guys. And I like to think of it as Samuel L. Jackson is trying to make sure that Hayden Christensen does not become a Jedi Master, because they're both in this movie, and it came out roughly the same time as, it came out after. It came out way after Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith came out in 2005, this came out in 2008. And then finally, we're back to to Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. This is the other steelbook. This is a Best Buy exclusive steelbook. It's got blue on the front, the Indoraptor on the back. On the inside, I'm not going to remove everything, but then it's got blue over here on the Indoraptor side, and the Indoraptor's eye on the blue side, and it's just a really close-up of their eyes, and it looks cool. This is the only K movie I have. It's called The Kid. It stars Ethan Hawke, Dane DeHaan, and it also has Chris Pratt, who I think is Billy the Kid, or supposed to be Billy the Kid. No, Billy the Kid is Dane DeHaan. Chris Pratt's just a evil uncle, as it says on the back. And it just looks interesting. I've yet to watch it, but I really like Ethan Hawke, Dane DeHaan, and Chris Pratt. L's. So here we have the L's. Starting it off with The Legend of Tarzan. I actually enjoyed this when I watched this. It was pretty good. You know, I should rewatch it again. I really like. It's kind of a different take on Tarzan, because it's a story about Tarzan after he if he left, or it's about Tarzan leaving the jungle and becoming a civilized man. Next you have The Lighthouse, which is a movie that is regarded as the reason for Willem Dafoe to be Robert Pattinson's Joker, which, from what I've seen about it, it should be true, and I've yet to watch it. Even The Lion King. Lion King is pretty good. It's one of those movies. It's again one of those movies where I was like, yeah, I liked it, but then again, I didn't grow up with it. I do have this cool collectible one where it actually comes with like a little bit of a still, if you can kind of see it. Now you can see it, kind of Pride Rock, and it's part of the signature collection, so it's signed by. But I think it is. Yeah, got The Lion King, The Little Things. I don't know much about it. Pretty sure it's Denzel Washington supposed to be an ex-serial killer, and he's trying to help Rami Malek bring in Jared Leto, who is a suspected serial killer, but they can't really pin it in that. But Jared Leto knows Denzel Washington is a serial killer. I'm not really sure on the plot. The trailers were supposed to confuse you on if Denzel is actually a serial killer or not, but I'll watch it sometime. We got Logan, which is a tragedy because I've yet to watch it. I have 2 copies of this. I have this on steelbook, so you can see by the end of the video. I need to watch it. I know. I heard so much about it. It sounds so good. This also comes with the Logan Noir. Oh, this isn't the one that. But my steelbook comes with Alita Battle Angel cards, which I'll show you later. But next up, we have DC's The Losers. It's got the guy that plays Negan, as well as John Winchester, the Winchester brothers' dad, Idris Elba, Chris Evans. It's great. I watched this a little bit after my parents got divorced as well. And then the final L is Lupin the Third, the First, which is a CGI adaptation of the Lupin anime movies. There's a cosplayer named Non-Binate that loves Lupin the Third, and they are the reason that I got interested in Lupin the Third, because their cosplay of Lupin is amazing. They look like him from ripped off the screen, and it seems like a fun little show or movie that I should really watch. Starting the M's, we have a Arnold Schwarzenegger movie called Maggie. It's about his daughter being infected with a essentially zombie virus that's wiping out the planet, and he has to basically fight off the feds because he wants to keep her alive. Then we got my steelbook of The Matrix I got at Target. This is a great movie. First time I watched it was in college, and we only watched this one because I'm pretty sure even my teacher said the other 2 suck. I don't remember, but I just know we didn't watch the second and third one, and I should watch this new one because apparently it doesn't matter if I've seen the other 2. Next we have Matt Damon in The Martian. It's a great movie. I remember watching it and I really liked it. It's by Ridley Scott. It's pretty good. Then we have The Meg. Not one I've seen, and it looks very stupid. I remember it has a Vine star that I remember watching as a kid. I think that's why I picked it up, as well as I wanted to talk about shitty shark movies. Monster Hunter on 4K starring Mila Jovovich. Don't buy it on the 4K. Actually, just stream it wherever it's streaming for free or whatever. If you already have the streaming service, watch it there. It's not worth buying. I have a whole review in my movie reviews if you want to watch it. Next up, Monsters vs. Aliens. Again, another DreamWorks movie that I need to get. I watched this one with my grandfather in the theater and really enjoyed it. But then again, I was a child. I was the target audience for this. So, The Final M. Mother. This is a split reaction movie because it was set up as a horror, like a haunted house movie, and then it turned out to be like a weird cult movie, I think. For the ends, starting off, we have The Nightmare Before Christmas. Classic. I didn't watch it this year, surprisingly. I'm surprised I didn't, but... Then we have Noah, which is directed by the same director that did, Mother? Aronofsky did this, and he said, what if we did the story of Noah, but took out all the religious stuff of it? Next up, we have Nobody on 4K. Can't wait to watch this. This is from the writer of John Wick. It feels like John Wick, but it's just, instead of being like this hitman assassin that left that world, it's a hitman who left that world, started a family, like a full-on family, not just married someone, and instead of getting dragged in, he kind of stumbles back into it after kicking people's asses, and then like his old business partners rob from him, and there's a line where he's like, I'm the last face you wanted to see when you opened the door, and that. I only remember hearing that in the trailer or something, but I really want to watch this. The only reason that it's plastic, it breaks the rules, because I heard one of the discs just floating around in here, which scared me, so I needed to fix that. The Final N is number 23. I was obsessed when I heard this movie existed, because I love Jim Carrey. It's a drama, it's a psychological thriller. When I found out about this movie, I got obsessed with the number 23 for a bit, which is surprising because I didn't watch this movie. I still need to watch this, but I can't wait to watch this because I like Jim Carrey when he's serious as well. Classic Jim Carrey comedy, great. Serious Jim Carrey, great. I have two movies in the O category, starting off with Office Space. I watched this comedy in college. It's actually really good. It's classic. And then we have Once Upon a Deadpool. Basically, Deadpool 2 in glorious PG-13 to kind of prove to Disney, yeah, we could also do a PG-13. We would prefer rated R, but we'll do PG-13. I still need to watch this. It's kind of technically a Christmas story if you think about it, but mainly it's just a bedtime story. Peas. At least some of the peas before our fourth drink break. We got Paper Towns. I have yet to watch this. It looks interesting. I think it's one of Cara Delevingne's first acting roles. And shut up, watch. Funny story with this. I read this book in class with everyone else in high school, and as this book was being read, I went, wow, this would be a great movie. I want to make that movie. 2 weeks later is when I realized that Hollywood must is listening to me, because 2 weeks later, my teacher brings up that they're in the talks with John Green to make this movie, and I was like, wow, give me some of that money, and that I was so excited. I was like trying to think of trying to picture scenes, like shots, like cool shots and that, and I heard the movie was being made, and I was like, wow. Damn it, they couldn't wait till I graduated. I was a sophomore when that happened, but I need to watch this because I want to see if it would work the way I was thinking it would. If they did stuff the way that I thought would work. Although I want to reread the book to refresh myself and what I thought. Who knows, maybe I might actually think of better ways to shoot shots. We have Parasite. I still need to watch this. I want to get more into foreign films because I don't really watch films, to be honest. I usually don't have time, but I want to watch foreign films more. Percy Jackson Olympians, The Lightning Thief. As you can see, I bought it for $5 because I don't want to take the sticker off because it's just going to leave a shit ton of residue and it's going to look bad. This is the only one that I actually enjoy. I have nostalgia in it. I loved this when it came out. I know everyone hates these two films. I just don't like the second film. But this first film was pretty good in my opinion. Next up, I got this one for Christmas in 2021. Pig, starring Nicolas Cage. Another Nicolas Cage movie. I think he's great. I still need to watch it. It's in the plastic. It's apparently a character study. Next up we have Predator, starring Schwarzenegger. I was probably too young to have watched this film, but I love this film. I think I was like 8 or 9, roughly the same time as I watched Van Helsing with Hugh Jackman. Probably shouldn't have watched those movies as a kid, but this is a good movie, guys. If you haven't seen the original Predator, watch it. The final one is probably one of the best DreamWorks movies they've ever made, which is kind of saying something because it's one of the first that they ever made. The Prince of Egypt. Actually, it's like their second, maybe their first, because they're actually, anyone that failed while working on this was forced to work on Shrek. Prince of Egypt is such a great story. Even if you're not religious, anyone can enjoy this. Atheists say this is a great movie. It doesn't hinge on it being religious. It's got a family dynamic. If you've never seen Prince of Egypt, what are you doing? Go find it. Final drink break. Actually our fourth drink break. We'll take a drink break before we end the video. If you're still here, type Aang, A-A-N-G, as in Avatar Aang. We'll see how many people are getting this far. The last of the P's, we have Alfred Hitchcock's Psycho. I watched this in high school for my media arts class, and that was the first time I ever watched it. It was great. Next up we have Pulp Fiction. I've never seen Pulp Fiction. I've heard a lot about Pulp Fiction. It's kind of an anthology that I've heard, where it just follows different stories in that. But I need to just find the time to sit down and watch them. I should also just rank all of Quentin Tarantino's movies. I should just make a ranking of that, because I don't think there's that many. I think there's like 10. I hear it's a classic. One from my childhood, that's another DreamWorks movie, Puss in Boots. I really like this movie. I liked the female character that was Kitty Softpaws by Salma Hayek. I really liked her character. I like Antonio Banderas' Puss, and yeah, I enjoy it. But then again, I was a kid and I was watching my DVD, so I need to rewatch it for my DreamWorks ranking to properly address it. All right, R's. Starting the R's, we have Rambo: Last Blood in the pack or in the plastic. Haven't watched it. Funny story with this. I meant to actually get, I think, Rocky 4 or something. I don't know. I think it's the one with Mr. T or something. I don't know. There's a split reaction movie from the Rocky franchise, and I grabbed this thinking it was Rocky. Rocky, weirdly enough. And then also but then I learned Rambo: Last Blood is also a split reaction movie. So it worked out in the end. Next, we have Disney's Raya and the Last Dragon. It looked interesting to me. Also, it had the small little controversy when images came out where Raya, a young Raya, looked like Korra from Legend of Korra. There was a mask that really looked very similar to the Blue Spirit mask and that. So people were thinking, is Disney ripping off The Last Airbender? And that they weren't. It was just coincidences and that. But I can't wait to watch this. It's been like a year since it came out. Should watch it, but you know. Ready Player One. I think this is the last movie I've ever seen in the theater, which is saying something because this came out in 2018. Everyone hates on it. I enjoyed it. I think people are saying they don't like it is because the reason they don't like it is because of all the product placement and that. It's like, oh, we're throwing in all the stuff. We have Iron Giant, Chucky, Tracer from Overwatch, Master Chief, and Spartans and that. He drives the DeLorean, stuff like that. I think it's fine. It's a good movie. It's by Spielberg. I love Spielberg's films and that, so take it how you will. I promised someone a year ago that I'd rank these. All the original Mila Jovovich Resident Evil movies. When I did my review of Monster Hunter, I said I'd rank these if you want to torture me to watch these, and someone did. So I said yes, I will. I spent the year then collecting them all, and I finally have them all. Except for the new one. I'll do the new one in a separate one because it's not a Mila Jovovich movie or Resident Evil film, but I'm getting to it. I'm planning it out. I'm going to start planning stuff. I have a planner now. I'm going to plan it. Next we have another DreamWorks film, Rise of the Guardians. Rise of the Guardians is very underrated. It should have gotten a sequel. It's very good. It's been long since I rewatched it, but it's great. Chris Pine's great as Jack Frost. Hugh Jackman is the Easter Bunny. What else can you ask for? Next up, we have an underrated Blue Sky film. I feel like it's underrated. It has Robin Williams in it. It's called Robots. Ewan McGregor plays Rodney Copperbottom, the main character. Robin Williams plays his friend Fender. And who knew that those two were actually a comedic duo? I love their chemistry. That they should have done more work together. Maybe they did, I'm not sure. But they should have done more work together. And, you know, I love this film. Alright, another one, I had to get it, because not only is it from the director of Silent Hill Revelation, the concept seems so stupid. It's called Rogue, starring Megan Fox. As a kid, Megan Fox in elementary school and starting middle school, Megan Fox was the woman that everyone had a crush on in school, and that so I am a fan of Megan Fox. I really liked her in the not only in the Transformers movies, but also as April O'Neil in the Michael Bay Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle movies. But this one is Megan Fox is battle-hardened mercenary who is trying to save hostages from their captors in Africa, while also not only being pursued by those guys, but also being pursued by rogue man-eating alliance. And the first thing that I said was, I don't believe Megan Fox as a battle-hardened mercenary, but I have yet to watch it. It's in the plastic, so it could surprise me. The final R in this is the classic Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the stop-motion animated movie from my childhood. I grew up with this one. I also grew up with one that I had on VHS called Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer, the movie, which came out in 1998. I just recently watched it during our Christmas party that we had, and it was weird. I still have fond memories from it as a kid. I also have fond memories of that one. Starting off the S's, we have a 4K copy of Scott Pilgrim vs. the World. This year I upgraded my Scott Pilgrim vs. the World Blu-ray to 4K. I gave the Blu-ray to my brother. The snow is really picking up. The first time I watched this was in was in college. Chris Evans in it shocked me. I had a crush on Ramona Flowers. Finding out that Macaulay Culkin's brother was in it, he played the gay roommate to Scott Pilgrim, was great. I love the scene when he's like, he's not here, and then you see him jump out of the window. It's classic. Next up is a movie that I just recently picked up. It's the 4K release of Scream. I'm gonna throw Scream in the never seen, only because I honestly don't remember. I know the plot. I know what happens. I just can't remember who dies. I remember some people who die. I remember the story. I know the plot. I feel like I sat down and I watched this movie when I was younger. But that means when I was younger, I was too young to have watched that film. I shouldn't have watched that film. So that's why I don't have memories of it. So that's why I'm going to throw it in. But I have a feeling that I watched this because I love Matthew Lillard. This one might be out of left field for me, but I have a religious movie. I call it religious because it's usually in the religion section. It's called The Shack. It stars Sam Worthington. That's why I picked it up. Not only that, it has a acoustic cover by Skillet of their song Stars. And I love that song. I can't find anything on it. But it does have it. They did do something. They did do it because they have a cover on their channel of Stars. And Stars is such a great song in its rock form as well as its acoustic form. But its acoustic form really hits the soul. But yeah, this is a very religious one because it's talking about God a lot in the back. Yes, I've had this movie for a year now. Shadow in the Cloud. It looks interesting. Chloe Grace Moretz. I've been a fan of her since Kick-Ass. I like her work. The movie seemed interesting because it's about World War II. They have a suitcase that they need to get to, but there's something in the shadows in the sky, and it's like these big bat-like creatures. That's what I got from the trailers and that, and I just need to sit down and watch that. It seems like right up my alley. I'm gonna piss off a friend from college. Jeremy, I'm sorry if you even ever see this or get this far in this video, because just how long it's been. I had no idea how long it's been. As a kid, I loved Shark Tale. As an adult, I'm not sure. I haven't watched it in a long time. As a kid, I loved Shark Tale. But that's because I couldn't tell a good movie from a bad movie. Because I was a kid. How a kid's gonna love every movie you show them. Maybe not a horror movie. They'll probably get scared. I loved Shark Tale. It's God, nostalgia for me. I love Will Smith and Jack Black, what can I say? Next up we have another DreamWorks film. It's the 4K release of Shrek for its 20th anniversary from last year. Shrek's a great film. Shrek the Third, Shrek Forever After, is where it gets muddied up, where you think Shrek and Shrek 2 are as dog shit as those two, but it's not. This one's great. It's a it's an anti-Disney movie, it's a parody movie, and it's a movie that stands on its own. It's great. You gotta remember that. Just remember that, please. It just entered like the vault for the like a Hall of Fame for cultural impact. Next up we have The Shining. Again, it's out of the plastic, but I've never seen The Shining by Stanley Kubrick. I need to watch it. The problem is I buy a lot of horror movies because I expect to have a girlfriend to watch these horror movies with. But I don't. Another movie, this movie's a little controversial here in Wisconsin. I'll explain why. It's Slender Man. I need to also do a video because I found a DVD that came out a few years before this movie. But this one was more big. Slender Man's controversial here in Wisconsin. If you didn't know, there was a case, like, back in 2015. It was right before my parents got divorced and that. I feel like I'm using that as the timeline basis in this whole video. I don't mean to. It's just that happened around the same time as a lot of this stuff. There was a case that happened where a young girl was found by a man walking by a park, and she crawled her way out of a forest, and she was stabbed 17 times by two of her classmates, it turned out, who were trying to summon Slender Man. And the girl that got stabbed, she recovered. She's doing well. That was a dark time, especially when Slender was like shooting in popularity during that too. That was roughly it was like around 2014, 2015. PewDiePie played it in 2013, and that's how it got its start. And then Slender the Rival and shit like that. And so when this movie came out, 90% of Wisconsin theaters did not show this out of solidarity for that little girl. I don't disagree. I think that was a good idea. Sorry, I just saw someone on a bike. It's a snowstorm out there, and someone's biking. How are they biking on ice? Distracted. Anyways, I agree with that decision, because, you know, that was a slightly dark time for a bit in Wisconsin. So only like 10% of the theaters in Wisconsin showed this film, mainly because they were, I guess, franchise theaters. Every local theater owned by someone decided not to show this film, which was a smart move, but I still need to see this because I heard it's dog shit. And it makes me smile each time I hear that. I don't know why. I was a big fan of Slender Man, like the games and that. Next up, another movie I covered in here, remember, similar to Fire Breather, and that is The Spiderwick Chronicles. I think I want to revisit it. I feel like that video is too short. I want to talk about more. Obviously, I won't do it for like the next Hey Remember. I gotta actually continue the Five Nights at Freddy's stuff and maybe throw in a different one here and there, like this film. It's enjoyable. I want to do more. I want to do a video that's Justice Time, because it was part of those. That video is why I took Hey Remember off of the weekly upload, because I felt Hey Remember needed to be something that more time got put in, and then I took the Five Nights at Freddy's one and it showed. Next we have a DreamWorks film called Spirit Untamed, the movie. It's based off the TV show that's based off the Spirit movie from the 90s by DreamWorks. I'm going to be including this in my DreamWorks ranking. Now, it looks like a nice, cute film. Next up we have Split, which I have yet to watch. Split really intrigued me when I heard it was coming out. I hear people that have split personality say that it doesn't actually portray that accurately, but for what it was going for, I think it'd be fine. Like I said, I need to watch it, but I was ready to go watch this in the theater, and it turned out to be essentially a sequel to Unbreakable, and then we got Glass, which Glass I heard was not good. Next, we have a surprise from 2020. Actually, I think the last film that was released in theaters before the pandemic, because it was on Valentine's Day. That was Sonic the Hedgehog. A surprise, but a welcome one. I actually enjoy Sonic the Hedgehog. I'm not a big fan of Sonic the Hedgehog. My brother is a huge fan of Sonic the Hedgehog. He has almost every game that has been released, except the original, like, or Sega Genesis games. He has the first one. but he doesn't have Sonic the Hedgehog 2 or Sonic and Knuckles. Or Sonic the Hedgehog 3 and Sonic and Knuckles that I'm aware of. But this movie was great. I love Jim Carrey. Okay, I need a drink break. Only because my throat's hurting, because I've been talking for probably over an hour. Starting off the tease, we have The Thing. I need to watch this. I was planning on watching it for the Halloween Spectacular, but I never did. I also picked it up for last year's, or 2020's Halloween Spectacular, because this is also a split reaction movie. When this came out, it nearly destroyed John Carpenter's career, because everyone wasn't ready for the body horror aspect of The Thing. I'll share more of that when I finally get around to the split reaction series. Next up, we have a comedy that I actually enjoyed, although it has James Franco, which he's a kind of a no-no right now. But it also has Emma Watson, and that's my favorite scene in it, and that is This Is the End. I loved it. I really loved this. Following all these actors playing themselves during the apocalypse is very funny, and that. James Cameron's Titanic, classic, and I picked the only reason I picked this up was because I saw this immediately after I released the Roblox Titanic video, so I thought it was just a message from the universe saying, here you go. Next we have the Lara Croft Tomb Raider starring Angelina Jolie, which is a guilty pleasure. I enjoyed this when I would see it as a kid. That Jacob would say, you never watched it as a kid, but joke's on him, I did. I even watched the one with Pandora's Box, which I think is the second one. Then we have the new one with Alicia Vikander, which is actually probably one of the best video game to movie adaptations I've seen in a long time. It took the story beats of the video game and altered them to actually make them more plausible. In the 2013 reboot game, which this movie is a reboot, the reboot movie of Reboot Game. In the reboot game, the goddess is an actual goddess, and in this one, the goddess is actually just patient zero of a very infectious disease that needs to stay dead. Next up we have probably my favorite Western, Tombstone. Tombstone's great. I love Val Kilmer's Doc Holliday. It's so terrific. I'll have to do a video on that. My favorite Christmas movie that I didn't actually watch this Christmas, but it's Tom and Jerry, A Nutcracker's Tale. It's beautiful, and I suggest watching it if you haven't seen it. Next up we have the only Toy Story movie that I have. I need to find the other ones. Toy Story 2. This is probably my favorite one out of the 4, mainly because I've only seen 1, 2, and 3. I've yet to see 4. I should probably find 4 or watch it on Disney Plus because I have Disney Plus. But this is my favorite of them all because it introduced Jessie as a kid. Sounds weird, but I did have a crush when I was like 5 or 6 on Jessie. I thought she was cute. To be honest, I actually wanted to be her friend because I was 5 years old. Final movie, which I'm actually going to take out of plastic because I've seen this, if I can. Let me get a pen out. Live unboxing it. But we have Twister. I've seen Twister before. It's been so long since I've seen it, but I thought I'd pick it up. I picked it up on New Year's Eve. It's just a classic disaster movie. They're storm chasers going after the Twister. Alright, the only you that I have is Adam Sandler's most recent movie where he is serious, Uncut Gems. Regarded as one of Adam Sandler's best performances recently. There's other performances that I love him in. And people say this is his best performance ever. This is the best serious performance ever. His other movies that I think are probably better than that. But I will say, from what I've seen, it's his best performance from the trailers. This looks great. I need to watch it. Alright, V. I have Van Helsing on 4K. I love this film. I even just found... Oh, it's not... Wait. It has a DVD prequel. An animated prequel. Called The London Assignment. Which leads straight into the live-action movie. I loved watching this as a kid. I was probably too young to have watched this, even though it is PG-13, I'm pretty sure. Yeah. It's supposed to get a trilogy, but it only got this one. And I really want to see where this would have taken it, because the ending, spoilers for a movie from the 2003. For a movie from 2003, this is roughly during when he was becoming the Wolverine, and that, but Kate Beckinsale gets killed by him when he's a werewolf. So, I really wanted to see how that impacted Van Helsing, and I never will. I doubt they'll bring him back. Alright, W's. First off, we have The Waterboy, one of Adam Sandler's classic roles as Bobby Boucher. This made me want to be a water boy for a little bit. Another classic by Adam Sandler with Drew Barrymore is The Wedding Singer. This is a classic comedy. Great chemistry between the two. I think that's the start of their actual chemistry, or the start of the first movie they did together that revealed that they had great chemistry together. Next up we have, obviously, it's not the 25th anniversary, but I have the 25th anniversary copy of Who Framed Roger Rabbit, which this one came out in 2013. So as you can see, I got this in 2021. But yeah, classic movie. The only time in our lifetime that we will probably ever see Mickey Mouse and Bugs Bunny on the same screen. Next up, another Nicolas Cage movie that I need to watch because I was excited. Willy's Wonderland. It's Five Nights at Freddy's, but Nick isn't locked in there with them. They're locked in there with him, and he doesn't utter a fucking word in this movie. Next up, these next two, you're gonna find surprising because during one of my first videos for the Halloween Spectacular, I brought up how I am afraid of werewolves. It's an irrational fear, because I know they don't exist, and I live in a state that has hundreds of reports of werewolf sightings, supposedly, and there's so many sightings that we just call them dogmen, because we assume that they're just another species, canine humanoid breed. But these next two, I have The Wolf of Snow Hollow, which looked interesting. It's about police officers looking into murders that are happening due to a werewolf, so they gotta try and stop the werewolf, but they don't believe that it's a werewolf until probably later on, but I've yet to watch it. And then I was getting recommended clips of the 2010 remake of Wolfman, starring Benicio del Toro and Anthony Hopkins and Emily Blunt and Hugo Weaving. And I was watching those clips and I was having fun because it felt more of like an action horror, not like just a suspense horror. I could probably watch the original one, even though it's like a suspense horror, because it's my disbelief can be pushed a bit where I can see that it's just a movie, but I'm quite interested in watching this movie. I really want to watch it. The final Blu-ray before my last steelbook is The Wolverine. Probably my favorite out of the Wolverine trilogy, because I've seen X-Men Origins, I've seen this one, I need to see Logan, so Logan will probably kick this off, but this is a great movie. I like it. I like how it's set in Japan. I like the backstory between Wolverine and the villain. I like the plot of he loses healing factor, how the villain wants his healing factor in that. It's just a great, interesting movie. And then finally, the last Blu-ray, Logan, on Steelbook. I really like it. It's this comic book art style of the two characters, and it continues, the art follows on the back. And then you got these, for Alita, you got these cool little cards. You got that talk about three things. It talks about her doll body, her berserker body that she fights with, and then she has her pro motorball body. Which makes me, I want to pick up Alita on that, because Alita interests me more than Avatar, James Cameron. But then the back creates that, which I found really cool. Drink break. If you made it this far, comment bone in the comment section below, and let's see how many of you made it to the very end of the Blu-ray collection tour. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know what you guys have in your Blu-ray collections. But until the next video, I'll see you in the future. Bye guys.